Wow, it was fascinating today to watch these politics leading to like all of these terrible, awful decisions, which are going to mean terrible things for the realm. And after I saw all of that, I decided to go and watch House of a Dragon. God, we're fucked. Anyway, new Prime Minister aside, today, episode 3 of House of a Dragon came out, and it's my favourite episode so far. It is so good. We're so lucky that we get the show. Like, I know we pay our subscriptions, it's not free or anything, but we're so lucky we get this show. It's like nectar to my veins. I love it so much so far. So far, so far. Okay, come on, we're 3 episodes in and it's amazing still. The two main things I want to focus on today, well, they're the two main things of this episode, right? You've got the royal hunt celebrating Aegon's second name day, and then you've got the situation on the Stepstones with Daemon Targaryen and Corlys Velaryon losing their war. I nearly said their law. No, they've still got their law. We still know their backstories. So let's start with the hunt, which is just perfect royal political drama. You've got this setting of the hunt, of this farce of like these, it's not like, and obviously hunting is awful in all forms, but like in terms of what hunt is quote unquote supposed to be, which is a show of strength, a show of like, oh, I'm the king and I've gone and slain this wild animal. And you see it for the farce it is, where people scout it out ahead of time. And not just that, but they fucking tie it down for him ahead of time. And it's not even the animal that they scouted out. So even the scouts who are doing all of the work are incompetent. And obviously, you knew it was coming. But when the king fails to land a killing blow on even the fucking tied up stag, it just shows how much of a farce the entire thing is. And obviously, after he finally kills it the second time round, everyone's like, good kill, your grace, good kill. It's just so perfectly stupid. We're also prompted to remember the fact that Robert Baratheon in the original Game of Thrones was killed on a wild boar hunt. So it's interesting to parallel two kings. I think there's actually a lot of similarities between Viserys Targaryen and Robert Baratheon. Both of them aren't inherently evil, aren't inherently malicious, but they're both trying their best. But they're both, either through sheer incompetency or by perpetrating the whims of the royal world behind them. Even in Robert Baratheon's case, who overhauled the previous Targaryen dynasty, they both end up doing things which aren't great for people. They both end up failing as kings. And because House of a Dragon focuses so much more on Viserys and his family instead of going between many, many different families across the realm, we see it in far more detail how he struggles to be a good king and a good person, but ends up just doing bad things, making bad decisions, causing bad things to happen. He's not an unlikable guy. He's not even an awful parent by Westeros standards, I hasten to add. Especially at the end of this episode when he clears things up with Rhaenyra and tells her, yeah, okay, I was wrong. I'm sorry. Choose who you want to marry. And then she calls him out. She's like, you're telling me I'm supposed to marry to secure our house, but if you believed that, then you would have married that Velaryon kid. And he's like, yeah, no, yeah, you're right. I didn't do that. Like, obviously, he's incompetent in certain areas and not a great dad in certain areas, but also he is trying. And I think that's what's so fascinating about him. He is about as grey as you can be in terms of likability and moral, completely failing to balance the efforts of trying to be a good person with the skills necessary to be a good leader. I love how the farce of the hunt is directly contrasted with Rhaenyra once again being the competent Targaryen of the show. Obviously she didn't do it alone. She had Criston Cole there, but she did appoint him to be her knight, so there you go. Or I think he's meant to be Viserys's knight or whatever. But between them both, they kill a boar which attacks them. They don't go on the look for it. They don't go hunting for it. And not just that, but Rhaenyra's competency and capability to lead is also shown to us in the fact that the white stag appears to her and that she tells Criston Cole not to kill it. Not that I think he would have been able to, of course. I think that stag would probably have run off before he got to it. The scene of her just like bloodied, grumpy, carrying a carcass of a dead boar back into the camp is just so well done, with everyone just like watching her like, damn, what's going on over there? It's just tasty, good shit, good friends. Good shit. It is also interesting that they're leading into the whole prophecies aspect of Targaryen dreaming, which definitely wasn't. It's a thing in the books, but it's definitely something that was missed out in the original Game of Thrones show. And in a drunken kind of fit of rage and exhaustion, Viserys admits to Alicent that, he had this vision of Rhaenyra wearing a crown, as we've already been told in a previous episode, when she was born. And he's so desperate. Wait, hang on, that's not what happened. Sorry, no, I've just caught that. In the previous episode, he told us that he had a vision of his son from Emma wearing a crown when it was born. But, okay, that's more interesting now that I've thought about that, because he says he tried so desperately to make this come true, and then, he didn't believe his vision and all this, and yeah, I guess that's why he so desperately wanted a son, because he started to believe that Rhaenyra wouldn't. I guess he listened to all of the sexism at court and believed, oh, yeah, you're right, a girl can't, or a woman can't have the Iron Throne. That's ridiculous. He does admit as much to Rhaenyra as well, that his faith in her wavered at points. And he has this moment of self-realization before that bonfire that, yeah, I'm kind of, it's my fault that Emma died, because I was pushing for this new kid who was going to be the one to fulfill this prophecy and all this. And the fact that Aegon is called Aegon, it never gets brought up in this episode, but it does lead us to believe that he still has these desires of having this heir who's prophetic and going to be an amazing leader when he's already got one. Meanwhile, on the stepstone, Daemon Targaryen is losing his war, and it's delightful. Every single scene on that beach is so grey and drab and muddy and depressing, and it's just such a good depiction of war. It's what Game of Thrones does best. It's like, hey, yeah, no, these fights aren't full of glory and valor. They're not knights in shining armor clashing steel swords against shining shields. It's muddy and gritty and bloody and incredibly painful for the people who are dying slowly, and it's not honourable, as we saw in this episode when Daemon pretended to surrender. I think what's so fascinating about this entire scene as well is that he's actually getting help from Viserys. Viserys has sent him a letter coming to bail him out, and he's not like, I don't approve of this, but I'm gonna come bail you out, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, okay. He's trying to do the peacemaker thing like he always tries to do. He's like, yeah, I'm sorry we've been estranged. I know I didn't approve, but I don't exactly want you to die or lose, so I'm gonna send you some backup and everything. And this pisses Daemon Targaryen off so much, he fucking wails on the messenger. He beats him up. Because to Daemon Targaryen, this isn't about doing what's right for the realm. It's about doing something against his brother's wishes and doing it right and proving himself to this guy who while he in some ways hates him, he also desperately wants his approval. And now he has to do this desperate measure to kill the crab feeder before he gets the reinforcements so that he can get his glory that he thinks he deserves. His anger about the whole situation is really driven home as well in just the brutality in which he kills the crab feeder. You see him enter the cave, you do not see the fight between them, and then you see him leave the cave dragging half of the crab feeder's body behind him, soaked in blood. I really hope there's a line of dialogue in the next episode which is like, why did you do that? I was sending reinforcements. You could have won with far less blood on your hands, but I guess we'll see. So yeah, if you can't tell by my passionate rambling, this has absolutely been my favourite episode in the series so far, and I'm so excited to see where it goes next. I really enjoy Millie Alcock in the role of Rhaenyra Targaryen, and I know that the casting is pretty much perfect for both of the versions that we're going to see of Rhaenyra Targaryen, but I am going to miss her. I don't know if this is her last episode, I don't think it is, but it just, every episode I see her in, I'm like, no, don't go. It's going to be really interesting to see how Emma Darcy tackles Rhaenyra Targaryen and see how different they are, and whether the story gives them cause to behave differently throughout the different years, but I guess we'll find that out soon enough. In the meantime, thank you very much for listening to my broad take on the episode. I'm not Alt-Shift-X, I don't go into super duper detail on every little thing that happens, but I do like to give my initial impressions. So feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe for more, and if you want, leave a comment telling me something that you liked about this episode that maybe I overlooked. I will get back to you. I promise. That is a promise. See you next week.